Okay, it is time to open up a can of worms called sight words. Sight words mean different things to different folks, but for the most part, I think a common definition that most of us could agree with is that sight words are words that we want learners to come to be able to read or call out quickly so as to maintain the momentum of text and fluency. Especially at the early grades, sight words can take on an even greater presence because we are often engaged in activities that require skills that our learners may not yet have. So if, for example, you're supposed to be able to read a particular low-level book or write about your pet snake, but you've only covered the first 4 letters in the alphabet, that might be a pretty tough order. Sight words sometimes are used to fill in the gap between what learners own and have under their belt insofar as the tools they bring to the table when working with text, and what they don't have under their belt but would need in order to engage in the said activity. Now, because I'm talking about something coming from a context of working with the secret stories, it might be slightly off kilter from that of a traditional classroom where all of the tools that you need to read and write are chunked between grade levels kindergarten, first, and second, with the assumption that by third grade you need to be ready to read to learn, and that all the learning to read is done in K1 and 2. With the secret stories, the mindset is instead of waitressing these skills, giving whoever is ready whatever they need at each of those grade levels, and then finally have given them the whole code, by the end of second, the secret stories is more of a buffet. Learners get what they need when they need it, often before they need it, because it's given to them rather than taught. And I'm talking about the sounds, the patterns, the phonemic symbols, all of the things that are required for learners to fully engage with text. That's given to them instantly and immediately. That's given to them all in the first kindergarten year. And it's given, not taught, so you're not concerned with readiness issues. It will be applied when the learner is ready. Just like on the buffet, you eat what you want when you are ready, or if you desire to have it. You don't eat everything because it's a buffet. If you were being given the food, that would be akin to being taught the skill. On a buffet, you take what you need when you need it and when you're ready to use it and apply it. Now, given that these learners are going to have these skills of decoding and encoding, the sight words can play an interesting role. Instead of using the sight words as needed memorization tools to incorporate into reading and writing, the sight words from a secret story end are more along the lines of those words that you cannot read even with secrets. So in other words, you shouldn't see words like have or because or I or she or me on a sight word wall, or in this case of the secret stories, in jail, in their word jail, where we put words that don't do what they should. The jail is very specific. Unlike what sight words in a standard traditional classroom might be, the jail in the secret stories is specific to words that you have no power over as a reader, that you would have no way to decode them in text or to encode them when writing, that you literally just have to take a picture of to remember what they look like so that they don't get by you and try to trick you when you're reading or writing. Words that you literally have no power over. And that's a profound thing. You don't want to have an overcrowded prison system, or in other words, an overcrowded word wall, all of which are supposed to be words that learner has no power to actually read. For this reason, I don't like to go into classrooms that are using the secret stories and see those kinds of words like have, or I, or she, or girl. Words that really we just might want learners to come quickly to in text, but that we certainly do have power over as readers and writers. What words I would consider to be sight words? Words that I do believe literally cannot be read or written, no matter how many tools one might have, are words like was, of, would, should, words that come directly from other languages. I will tell you some tips in the next blog that I do, which will continue to be about sight words, for working with words that you might just think don't do what they should, but that actually you might be surprised, especially if you have some British ancestry. So we'll talk about that then. But for the most part, it's going to be the high frequency one syllable sight words that will be the bane of your existence if you're looking at words that you just cannot read or write. If you take a word like of, it's only got 2 letters and neither of them are making the sounds they're supposed to. So how could you possibly read that word? You would obviously have no choice but to memorize it. To me, that's what a sight word is best considered to be, are words that you have no choice but to memorize. And for reasons that I'm about to share in this next little segment of this same blog episode, you will see why it is so much more useful to get bang for the buck out of these words that we often want to call sight words, but instead are tremendous little opportunities for learning and engaging in critical thinking and diagnostic analysis.